One of the most asked questions I get from people when we speak about manufacturing is if they should be visiting factories and how often. In this video, I'm going to talk to you exactly about that, and I'll give you some tips and reasons why you should be visiting factories. So to answer your main question, should you be visiting factories and how often? The answer is yes, a resounding yes, absolutely. You really need to be visiting your factory. And how often? It really depends. Ideally, if the factory is not too far away from you, you should be visiting them 3 to 4 times in the cycle of your sampling and production. So what does that mean? Ideally, when you start looking for factories, you should be going and visiting a few factories until you select the right one. So already that is one time that you would have seen the factory potentially you would be working with. Then, once you're ready to begin sampling, you should meet with your factory and in person go through all the materials, sketches, drawings, patterns, and your idea, and explain to them in person what is it that you would like made. After that, once they start sampling and making your product or production, because it could be production that you go into the factory with, maybe you've done the sampling somewhere else already. Once they have started manufacturing or producing your products, you should go and visit them partway through the process just to check that everything is going okay, just to see your product in production on the line, make sure that everything that you want is followed through. So that would be the third time that you would be visiting factory in ideal circumstances. And then finally, the fourth time, once your production or sample is ready, before you pay for it, because most likely you would be asked to pay, especially if you are just starting your journey into creating your own fashion brand, or if you're new to the industry, most factories will ask you to pay before you collect your sample or production. So therefore, it's really important that before you pay, you go at that point to check that everything is okay with your product. Because once you have received your sample or production and you've already paid, it will be very difficult for you then to flag up any mistakes that are made and have them rectified. So really, ideally, you should be visiting the factories and quality checking your product or production before it is paid for and before it is sent to you. So as you can see, if the factory is close to you, this is already 4 times that you should have visited your factory. These are 4 touch points that are really important for building that relationship between you and the manufacturer. Now, if your factory, however, is farther afield and it's not easy for you to travel to, then you really need to understand at which point it would be best for you to visit that factory, take the plunge, buy the plane ticket, and go halfway across the world perhaps to visit that factory. My suggestion would be that when you do decide to go and visit the factory, you already have a really good idea that you would be working with this factory and with these people before you invest in the time and the money to travel and visit them. And perhaps that would be once you have got some sample and you know that even if there's little amendments that can be made and improved, you can perhaps now tackle those issues in person, and therefore you go at that point to visit the factory. So perhaps that should be your first trip. Once you have done some sampling with the factory, you know that it's either perfect, great, let's go forward with the production, or it's almost there. Maybe that is one good point of time when you should go and visit the factory. If, however, finances are tight and you can't go at that point, and you have had really good samples, you feel really confident about going forward with the production, then you should place your production and plan to go and check your production before it's shipped to you. So that is the second crucial point at which you must visit the factory, especially if you're new to the industry, especially if this is your first time working with the factory. Again, you most probably would be made to pay before the shipment of the final shipment of your production. So it is important that you go and check it yourself and you're happy with the end result. Thank you for watching this video, and if you have any questions or comments, please pop them below and click on the subscribe button and get new videos delivered into your inbox every time we release them. Thanks.